Donald and Melania Trump's marriage has been under public scrutiny for years. Is it a love story or something else entirely? Their relationship has always been a mix of glamour, power, and mystery, leaving many wondering how much of it is real and how much is just a carefully constructed image. From their first meeting to their time in the White House, their interactions have sparked endless speculation. Are they truly in sync, or is their marriage more of a strategic arrangement? From the outside, they present a polished image: Melania, the poised and elegant First Lady, and Donald, the brash businessman-turned-politician. They appear at events together, pose for photos, and deliver rehearsed smiles when needed. But there's something off about their chemistry. Their body language often tells a different story, one that doesn't quite align with the traditional image of a happy, long-term marriage. Take, for example, the countless viral moments where Melania refuses to hold Donald's hand in public. It's happened multiple times, whether at official ceremonies or while walking down the steps of Air Force One. He reaches for her hand. She subtly pulls away. Some have brushed it off as nothing more than personal preference, while others believe it's a quiet message, one that speaks louder than words. If this were a one-time thing, it wouldn't be much of a discussion. But when it happens over and over again, people start asking questions. Even their interactions at key events have raised eyebrows. During Trump's inauguration, Melania was caught on camera giving him a beaming smile. But as soon as he turned away, her expression dropped into something much colder, almost as if she had been forcing it all along. It was a moment that set the internet on fire, with many wondering, was she just exhausted from the event, or was there something deeper going on? These stiff public moments have led to speculation that their marriage is more of a business deal than a love story. Melania met Donald in 1998 at a party in New York. At the time, he was a high-profile real estate mogul and she was an up-and-coming model. The two reportedly hit it off right away, and before long, she became a fixture in his inner circle. But this wasn't Donald's first high-profile relationship, far from it. He had already been married twice and his reputation as a ladies' man was well known. Melania, however, seemed different from his previous wives. She wasn't just a glamorous socialite. She carried herself with a sense of composure that separated her from the rest. For years, she remained mostly silent in the public eye, never engaging in drama or controversy. As their relationship progressed, so did the speculation about what truly kept them together. When they finally married in 2005, the event was nothing short of extravagant. A lavish ceremony at Donald's Mar-a-Lago estate, attended by celebrities, politicians, and billionaires. Melania wore a custom-made gown worth an estimated $200,000, and the event itself was reported to have cost well into the millions. But while the wedding was straight out of a fairy tale, it raised an important question. Was this a love match, or was there something more transactional at play? Donald's history of prenups only fueled the conversation. Both of his previous marriages ended in high-profile divorces, and legal agreements played a major role in both settlements. It's widely believed that Melania signed an airtight prenuptial agreement before walking down the aisle, ensuring that Donald's fortune would remain protected if things ever went south. If that's the case, then the stakes for staying in the marriage might be higher than most people realize. But if this was just about money and status, why has Melania stayed through some of the most turbulent years of Trump's life? The truth is, being Mrs. Trump comes with a unique set of benefits and challenges. Before Donald entered politics, their marriage seemed relatively low maintenance. She lived a life of luxury, attending fashion shows, raising their son Barron, and staying out of the limelight. But once Trump launched his presidential campaign, everything changed. Suddenly, she was expected to play a role on the world stage, one that she didn't seem particularly eager to embrace. Perhaps the biggest sign of her reluctance was her decision to remain in New York after Donald won the presidency. While most first ladies move into the White House immediately, Melania chose to stay in Trump Tower with Barron for several more months. The official reason? She wanted Barron to finish his school year. But skeptics questioned whether this was the real reason, or if she was avoiding stepping into the intense scrutiny of the First Lady position. Her choice to stay in New York came at a cost, not just for her, but for taxpayers. The security required to protect her and Barron while they remained in Trump Tower reportedly cost between $127,000 and $146,000 per day. adding up to a staggering $24 million between Election Day and the inauguration. The expense led to public outrage, with many questioning why taxpayers should foot the bill for Melania's personal choice to stay behind. The backlash grew so intense that a Change.org petition was created, demanding that she either move to the White House or pay for her own security. By June 2017, she finally made the move, officially joining Donald in Washington. But by then, the damage had been done. Rumors about their separate lives had taken on a life of their own. And while Melania might have physically moved to the White House, some believed that emotionally she had already checked out of the marriage. What's even more interesting is how separate their lives appeared to be even when they lived under the same roof. Reports surfaced that they didn't even share a bedroom, a detail that only fueled speculation that their marriage was more about convenience than companionship. But what was the real reason behind this arrangement? Was it just a matter of personal preference? Or was it a sign of a deeper divide? There are moments when Melania's frustrations seem to surface in unexpected ways. Moments where she appears to be sending a message, one that suggests she might not be as content as she seems. And one of the most telling signs? The rumors about their separate lives, both in and out of the White House. Despite moving into the White House, the rumors about Melania and Donald Trump living separate lives only grew stronger. Unlike past First Ladies who made it a point to be visible and actively involved, Melania seemed to disappear from the public eye for long stretches of time. When she did appear, it was usually at formal events, standing quietly by Donald's side, offering little insight into her personal life. It didn't help that Melania herself seemed to dodge questions about their personal life. While previous First Ladies like Michelle Obama and Laura Bush spoke openly about their husbands and married life in the White House, Melania remained tight-lipped. When asked about their relationship in interviews, her answers were brief, vague, and carefully crafted. It was almost as if she was avoiding saying anything that might confirm or deny the rumors swirling around them. But perhaps the biggest clue that all was not well in the Trump marriage came from Melania's body language. Time and time again, she was seen publicly avoiding his touch, pulling her hand away, or walking slightly ahead of him instead of at his side. Some dismissed these moments as overanalyzed, blown out of proportion by the media. But when the same behavior repeats itself in different locations under different circumstances, it becomes harder to ignore. Then there were the times when Melania seemed to go completely missing. In 2018, she vanished from the public eye for 25 days following a medical procedure. The White House claimed she had undergone kidney surgery and needed time to recover, but the extended absence led to wild speculation. Some believed she was recovering from a more serious health issue. Others thought she had used the opportunity to step away from the First Lady role altogether. The rumors got so out of control that Donald himself had to tweet about it, reassuring the public that his wife was doing great and had simply chosen to stay out of the spotlight. But Melania's reluctance to be front and center was nothing new. Even before Trump became president, she kept a low profile compared to his previous wives, rarely making headlines or involving herself in controversies. This only added to the mystery. Was she truly disinterested in the fame that came with being a political spouse? Or was there another reason she stayed out of the spotlight? One theory was that Melania knew exactly what she was doing. Unlike Ivana Trump, who fought publicly during her divorce from Donald, or Marla Maples, who was portrayed as a scandalous affair, Melania played her role with quiet precision. She avoided gossip, stayed out of political debates, and rarely gave interviews. This approach made it difficult for critics to attack her, but it also made it nearly impossible to know what she really thought about her husband. And yet, despite all the speculation, one thing was clear. Melania was no stranger to luxury, and being Mrs. Trump came with undeniable benefits. Her life before the White House was filled with extravagant vacations, private jets, and high-end fashion, a lifestyle few would willingly walk away from. But was that enough to keep her in the marriage? Over the years, rumors have swirled about renegotiations in their prenuptial agreement. According to some reports, Melania took advantage of Trump's presidency to secure better financial terms, ensuring a more comfortable future for herself and Barron. If true, it would mean that she wasn't just sticking around out of duty or tradition, but rather to solidify her long-term security. But despite these financial advantages, Melania's frustrations occasionally surfaced in ways that suggested she wasn't entirely happy with her role. The most famous example? The infamous "I really don't care, do you" jacket. In 2018, Melania boarded a plane to visit migrant children who had been separated from their families at the US-Mexico border. The trip itself was a rare moment of visibility for her, an attempt to show compassion and counterbalance her husband's strict immigration policies. But instead of focusing on the visit, the media fixated on something else: her outfit. She was wearing a green Zara jacket with the words, "I really don't care, do you?" printed in large white letters on the back. The backlash was immediate. Critics accused her of being tone-deaf, questioning why she would wear such a statement to an event meant to highlight the suffering of children. The White House scrambled to contain the situation, with Melania's spokesperson claiming the jacket had no hidden message. But later, Melania herself made a rare statement saying, "It was for the people who criticized me." If the jacket was a deliberate message, it was an unusual one. Was she targeting the press? Was she taking a subtle jab at her husband? Or was she simply exhausted by the constant speculation surrounding her life? Whatever the case, the incident proved one thing: Melania was fully aware of the narratives surrounding her, and whether intentionally or not, she knew how to fuel them. Melania's public persona remained an enigma, but her actions, however subtle, often spoke louder than words. Unlike Donald, who thrived on attention and controversy, Melania preferred a quieter power. Whether it was through her reserved body language, her cryptic fashion choices, or her ability to navigate scandals without getting directly involved, she maintained an air of mystery that only deepened the public's fascination with her. Yet even with her detached demeanor, there were undeniable moments where she seemed to want out. At times, she looked visibly uncomfortable at events, and at others, she seemed to outright ignore Donald's attempts at affection. These weren't just isolated incidents, they were recurring patterns. So, was Melania simply playing the long game, waiting for the right moment to step away? Or was she resigned to the fact that leaving wasn't an option? And if she had truly checked out of the marriage, why did she continue to stand by Donald through one controversy after another? One possibility is that Melania understood something most people didn't. Donald Trump wasn't just her husband, he was her brand. Whether she liked it or not, their identities were forever linked. A divorce would mean not just walking away from the marriage, but from the entire empire that came with it. And so, the mystery continued. Melania remained a silent but powerful figure in Trump's world, a woman who seemed both present and absent at the same time. Her ability to stay in the background while remaining highly relevant was perhaps her greatest strength. But as their marriage played out under the relentless scrutiny of the public eye, one question remained unanswered. Was she truly content with this life, or was she just waiting for the right moment to make her next move? For years, Melania's body language and public appearances fueled speculation that she had checked out of the marriage. But even if she had emotionally distanced herself from Donald, there was one undeniable truth: she never publicly turned against him. Through scandals, controversies, and media storms, she remained by his side, never openly criticizing him, never making a move that suggested she wanted to leave. Her silence, in many ways, became her greatest weapon. Unlike Ivana Trump, who took her divorce public and even published a memoir that detailed her struggles with Donald, Melania chose a different approach. She rarely granted interviews, and when she did, her answers were carefully measured. No unnecessary details, no dramatic statements, just enough to maintain appearances without revealing anything too personal. It was this quiet demeanor that made her both intriguing and frustrating to the public. People wanted to know what she was thinking, what she felt about the numerous controversies surrounding her husband, but she never gave them the satisfaction. Instead, she let her actions, or lack thereof, do the talking. But there were moments when Melania seemed to subtly push back. One of the most talked about instances happened in 2017 during Trump's first international trip as president. As they stepped off Air Force One in Tel Aviv, cameras captured the now infamous moment when Donald reached for Melania's hand, only for her to swat it away. The clip instantly went viral, with viewers analyzing every frame, every detail. Was it just a reflex, or was she making a statement? That wasn't the only time something like this happened. At the White House Easter egg roll that same year, Melania was caught on camera nudging Donald, reminding him to put his hand over his heart during the national anthem. It was a small moment, but it suggested something many had suspected. Melania was well aware of how Donald was perceived, and whether she liked it or not, she had to manage his image alongside him. Her actions weren't always easy to interpret, but they were consistent. She rarely spoke out, but when she did, it was clear that she had no intention of being seen as just another political wife. Even her official White House initiative, Be Best, was noticeably detached from her husband's policies. The campaign, which focused on combating cyberbullying, felt ironic to many, given Trump's reputation for attacking his critics on social media. But Melania insisted that her work was independent, a reflection of her own values rather than her husband's agenda. Despite her carefully controlled public persona, the rumors about her personal life continued to circulate. One of the most persistent theories was that she had renegotiated her prenup during Trump's presidency, securing better financial terms in case of a future divorce. While this was never confirmed, legal experts speculated that Melania was in a unique position to leverage her role as First Lady to ensure a better deal. If true, it would mean that she wasn't just waiting out her marriage, she was actively planning for the future. And that future remained a mystery. Some believed that Melania would leave Trump as soon as his presidency ended, escaping the intense scrutiny of political life and returning to the more private existence she once enjoyed. Others believed she had no intention of going anywhere, that she understood the power and influence that came with being Mrs. Trump and had no reason to walk away. What made the situation even more complex was Melania's role as a mother. Unlike Trump's older children, who actively participated in his political career, Barron remained out of the spotlight for most of his father's presidency. Melania was fiercely protective of him, reportedly ensuring that he was shielded from the chaos of the White House as much as possible. This fueled another theory, that she was staying in the marriage primarily for Barron's sake, ensuring that he had the financial security and stability that came with being a Trump. Even her relationship with Trump's older children raised questions. Unlike Ivana, who was deeply involved in the lives of Donald Jr., Ivanka, and Eric, Melania kept her distance. She was rarely seen interacting with them in public, and according to reports, her relationship with Ivanka in particular was strained. Some insiders claimed that there was an ongoing power struggle between the two, with Ivanka taking on many of the traditional First Lady duties, much to Melania's frustration. If there was tension between Melania and Ivanka, it never played out in public. Much like everything else in her life, Melania kept her emotions carefully hidden, never allowing the press to get a glimpse into the real dynamics of the Trump family. But one thing was certain: Melania knew how to navigate the complexities of being Donald Trump's wife better than anyone. She understood that silence could be more powerful than words, that mystery could be more intriguing than openness. And whether she was playing the long game or simply surviving in an unpredictable marriage, she had mastered the art of being present while remaining untouchable. Despite all the speculation, one undeniable fact remained. Melania was still standing by Trump, even when many thought she would walk away. Was it loyalty, strategy, or something else entirely? That question might never have a clear answer, but one thing was certain: she had secured her place in history, whether she wanted it or not. Melania Trump's ability to remain an enigma in the public eye has only fueled more speculation about her true feelings regarding her marriage. She has stood by Donald Trump through multiple scandals, remained silent in the face of numerous controversies, and avoided giving the media any direct insight into her personal life. Yet despite her reserved nature, there have been moments, small fleeting instances, where it seemed like she was silently speaking volumes. One of the most telling moments came during Donald Trump's impeachment trial. As he emerged from the proceedings, he and Melania walked together towards Marine One, cameras capturing every step. When they stopped at the helicopter, Trump reached for Melania's hand. She hesitated for a fraction of a second before giving him a brief, almost mechanical touch, then quickly pulling away. It was another addition to the growing collection of public moments where Melania appeared to resist Donald's attempts at affection. Her reluctance to engage in public displays of warmth wasn't just evident in these small moments. It extended to the very nature of their relationship in the White House. Unlike past First Ladies who worked closely with their husbands on initiatives, policy discussions, and public appearances, Melania often seemed like she was operating in a completely separate sphere. Even during significant national events, she would sometimes seem almost distant, as if she were just fulfilling an obligation rather than embracing her role. Her speeches were infrequent, her presence limited, and her personal projects, like the Be Best campaign, often felt like side notes rather than central elements of the administration. While Michelle Obama and Hillary Clinton took active roles in shaping policy discussions, Melania's approach was strikingly different. She remained detached, careful to never step too far into the political arena. Yet despite her reluctance to immerse herself in Trump's world of politics, she was one of the few people whose opinions he actually valued. Insiders reported that Trump listened to Melania in ways he didn't listen to his advisors. She was reportedly the one who urged him to take COVID-19 more seriously when he initially downplayed it. She was also said to be deeply concerned about the leaks within the White House, often warning Trump about the people around him. In many ways, Melania held a unique position. While she wasn't publicly vocal, she had an influence over Trump that few others did. Some speculated that this was a deliberate strategy, that she knew exactly how to keep her power by remaining just out of reach. By never openly challenging Trump, by never engaging in the kind of public feuds that his previous wives had, she ensured that she retained a level of control over her own narrative. And yet, for all her careful maneuvering, there were moments that seemed to reveal deeper cracks in their marriage. One such moment happened in 2020, during a Veterans Day ceremony at Arlington National Cemetery. As Trump and Melania stood together in front of a memorial wreath, a camera captured a brief but noticeable exchange. Trump appeared to lean slightly toward her, saying something under his breath. Melania's expression remained completely blank, her lips pressed together as she gave the slightest nod before quickly looking away. It was a subtle but telling moment, another example of the quiet tension that seemed to exist between them. If Melania was unhappy, she never showed it in a way that could be directly pointed to. Her ability to maintain a carefully controlled public image was almost unparalleled. Even when rumors surfaced about Trump's alleged affairs, including the now infamous Stormy Daniels scandal, Melania never publicly reacted. She issued no emotional statements, held no press conferences, and did not appear alongside her husband in a show of unity like many political spouses before her had done. Instead, she chose to remain silent, a move that only deepened the mystery surrounding her. But silence itself can be a statement. When the Stormy Daniels story broke, Melania made a decision that spoke louder than words. She opted out of joining Trump on a trip to the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. It was a small but significant break in routine. Instead, she took an unannounced trip to Mar-a-Lago, separate from her husband. While the White House brushed off the change of plans as nothing unusual, many saw it as a quiet form of protest. Melania's independent streak wasn't just evident in moments of scandal, it was also reflected in the way she navigated life in the White House. Unlike previous First Ladies, who often spent a great deal of time in the West Wing, Melania kept her distance. She reportedly spent most of her time in the East Wing, running her own office separately from Trump's political machine. Staff members noted that she rarely made unexpected visits to the Oval Office, and she wasn't involved in many of the daily operations of the administration. But no matter how much she distanced herself, she remained an essential part of Trump's image. In many ways, Melania represented something that Trump's brand needed: sophistication, stability, and an air of glamour. As a former model with a carefully curated public presence, she balanced out Trump's brash, unpredictable nature. Whether she liked it or not, her presence softened his image, making him more palatable to certain audiences. This dynamic wasn't lost on Trump either. He often spoke about Melania in ways that suggested he saw her as an extension of his brand, rather than just his wife. During campaign rallies, he frequently commented on her looks, referring to her as beautiful and perfect. It was as if her role in his life was less about being a partner and more about being a symbol of success. Yet despite all this, Melania continued to play her part. She attended events, stood by Trump's side when necessary, and maintained the illusion of a functioning marriage. But was it all just an act? Unlike other political wives who distanced themselves from their controversial husbands, Melania stayed firmly in the background. her future plans as much of a mystery as ever. But one thing was clear. Whether she stayed or eventually left, Melania had already secured her place in history. She was not just another First Lady, she was an enigma, a woman who had managed to survive in Trump's world without ever fully becoming a part of it. For all the speculation, for all the theories about her marriage, Melania remained the one person who truly knew the reality of her relationship with Donald Trump. And if history has shown anything, it's that she's in no hurry to let the rest of the world in on the truth. Melania Trump's silence has always been one of her most powerful tools. Whether it was by choice or by necessity, she mastered the art of revealing nothing while keeping the world endlessly curious about her. But with Donald Trump out of the White House, one question remained: what would she do next? Many expected her to immediately step away, to reclaim a life of luxury outside the public eye. After all, being First Lady had never seemed to be a role she actively pursued. She had done what was expected, played the part when necessary, and now, for the first time in 4 years, she had the chance to decide her own path. But walking away wasn't as simple as it seemed. Melania had built her entire public image around her relationship with Donald Trump. Despite their obvious differences, despite the rumors, despite the speculation, she remained tied to his legacy. Even after leaving Washington, she made no attempt to redefine herself outside of being Mrs. Trump. Unlike Michelle Obama, who immediately launched a successful book tour and continued to be an influential public figure, Melania disappeared almost entirely. No interviews, no speeches, no big media appearances. If people had expected a tell-all memoir or a dramatic departure from her husband, they were sorely mistaken. Instead, Melania retreated into the same level of privacy she had always preferred. She was rarely seen at Mar-a-Lago, rarely made public statements, and rarely engaged in any political or social initiatives. It was as if she had simply stepped back into the life she had before Trump became president, leaving the political world behind without a second thought. Some took this as confirmation that she had been nothing more than a reluctant participant in Donald's ambitions, that she had simply endured the presidency, waiting for the moment when she could slip back into the quiet comfort of her old routine. But others believed there was more to it, that Melania's silence was not just about stepping away from politics, but about carefully maintaining her own power. Because despite all of her detachment, despite her efforts to remain distant from Trump's political battles, she had something that no one else did: leverage. Melania knew Donald Trump in ways that no one else did. She had seen him at his most vulnerable, understood his weaknesses, and knew how to navigate his unpredictable nature better than anyone. And that made her one of the most powerful figures in his orbit, whether she actively used that power or not. If Trump were to run for office again, Melania's role would once again come into question. Would she stand beside him, fulfilling the role of a supportive spouse? Or would she step further into the background, allowing his political machine to operate without her presence? So far, her actions suggest the latter. She has made it clear that she has no interest in campaigning, no desire to re-enter the public sphere in any meaningful way. Unlike Ivanka, who remained deeply involved in Trump's political strategy, Melania has kept her distance. Even during Trump's post-presidency rallies and speeches, she has been noticeably absent, leaving people to wonder if she has any intention of returning to that world at all. Some believe that Melania is simply waiting for the right moment to step away entirely. That once Barron is older, once the timing is right, she will finally leave Trump and forge her own path. Others believe that she is content with the life she has built, that despite the rumors, she sees no reason to leave the security and influence that comes with being Mrs. Trump. But the truth is, no one really knows. Melania has spent years crafting an image of quiet detachment, making it impossible to know her true intentions. She does not seek attention, does not explain herself, and does not respond to speculation. With that, we have reached the end of today's video. If you have come this far with us, be sure to check out other videos on the channel.